relationship with God, even up to our own consciousness. Here's where it gets interesting. Now, instead of seeing, oh, I, the great me, am this separate person who does all these things and has all this stuff, the big story that we tell ourselves and each other, huh? The big false ego. Instead, we say, oh, actually, I'm Krishna's energy too. My consciousness is Krishna's energy. So I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm in relation with Krishna. And the moment we do that, the quantum wave function of the self collapses into spiritual energy. You see? If we look at ourselves as a separate false ego, then we view ourselves as a material being. And this consciousness that we have, which is actually spiritual, becomes covered over with the material energy. And then we have to bear the burden of that material covering. And that's it's terrible. Because it's a completely different kind of energy than the soul. The soul is directly spiritual energy, transcendental, pure consciousness. But then we get covered over with this false ego, this mind, this senses, the body, and all the possessions, and all those relationships, and all this stuff. Whew, it's a burden. Life becomes a drag. This is the cause of suffering. The cause of suffering. Try to understand. But when we say, oh no, actually my consciousness, myself, my soul, I, who I am, what I am, is Krishna's energy. I'm not separate from Krishna. I'm related to Krishna. I'm not separated from Krishna. Krishna is here. Where is Krishna? Krishna is within. And if we go within, we can find Krishna. When we go outside, we don't find Krishna. We find Krishna's energy. We find all this stuff, all this people and all these things going on, but we don't find Krishna. But when we go inside, we find self, soul, consciousness, light. And if we go deep enough into that light, which is called the Brahman, then we find Para-Brahman, the source of Brahman, and that's Krishna. That's Krishna. And the deeper we go into that light, the more information that we gather about spiritual life, the better understanding and realization that we have about Krishna, then the more we can see actually who we are also. Who we are eternally, who we are unconditionally, without any reference to the temporary material energy. That's Krishna consciousness. Being conscious of Krishna directly. In the beginning there may be some rituals, some rites, some rules that we have to follow, some process, some step-by-step procedure. You do this, then do that, then do this. But that's only to get us to the point where we start to conceive of ourself as being Krishna's energy. Not that we are independent. No, we're not independent. That's a crazy idea, this independence. Just because we're an individual doesn't mean we're independent. Yeah, we're individuals, but we are utterly dependent on Krishna. Krishna is sending the light from the sun. Krishna is sending the air. Krishna is sending the earth, the water that we need for our sustenance. Krishna is sending food. Krishna is sending life. Krishna is sending everything that we need. Nityo nityanam, chaitanash chaitananam. There are many eternal beings and many conscious living entities. But Krishna is the chief living entity. How do we know that? Because he's supplying the needs, he's supplying the desires of all living beings. We have so many desires, so many needs. And who is supplying the raw material for all of that? Krishna. It's coming from Krishna. So we have a relationship with Krishna, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we want to be honest about it or not. That's our choice. See, we can be honest and we can say, okay, these things are coming from Krishna. They're not ours. They're meant to benefit all the living entities. They're meant to benefit everyone, to be shared with everyone freely, as much as possible. We have limited capacity. But according to our capacity, let us share these things that God is giving with everyone for their benefit, with no strings attached. And guess what? When we do that, Krishna approves of it. He likes that. He sees, oh, they're doing right. Srila Prabhupada, I was listening to a class the other day. Srila Prabhupada was saying that when the father makes some arrangement for inheritance by the son, and he sees the son is utilizing the property correctly, according to his wishes, then he gives more. He gives even more. Oh, my one son is following my wishes. I give him more of my estate. And the other son, he's not following my wishes, so I give less. See? So right now, for example, the human society in general is not following the wishes of God, not following the desires of God or the laws of God. They're rebelling against God. They want to be independent. They want to declare their independence from God for the pursuit of happiness, whatever that is. So they're simply taking God's energy and they're utilizing it for their own sense gratification, not even giving thanks or anything. Not recognizing this is coming from God. And because of that, the resources are drying up. You think God's resources are limited? No. But He gives the appropriate amount for all the living beings in His creation, according to His desire of how we should live, not according to our desire. If we make some different plan, then those resources are going to dry up, because we're not following the instructions of the person who is generating them. You see? So when we follow Krishna's instructions, then we find that we keep getting His support, or it even increases more and more. Since we began this preaching mission, for example, in the beginning we had no followers, no resources, nothing. We were just a beggar. But now, gradually, by applying Krishna's instructions, we're getting more and more resources. It's coming automatically. Not that we're forcing anyone. Not that we're going to the courts and forcing that, you should give us some money or something. No, people are giving of their own free will. Why? Because we're establishing relationships of trust. We establish a relationship of trust that we are giving the actual truth. And how do you know? Put it into practice in your life. Try it yourself. We're not asking you to believe, we're asking you to try it. And if you try it, you will see that this is actually truth. That's our process. So, I think we should ask for questions now.
Okay.
Then we can have more discussion later.
Do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay, speak up so everyone can hear you.
Hold on.
Huh?
Speak over towards that side.
Okay.
The laptop mic is not enabled?
Sorry?
The laptop mic isn't enabled?
Just do it.
Recently, on the forums, we had an incident of someone falling into the Mayavadi trap, and that is another instance of the perception of the self, that wave function collapsing into a material entity, or is that something in between material and spiritual, or like?
It's false ego. He's saying, I am God. I am everything. What nonsense. How is it possible? It's not even possible. And then when I challenged him, I said, tell me the number and color that I'm thinking. And he rejected it. Well, if you're everything, if you know everything, you should be able to tell me very easily what I'm thinking. Huh? Krishna can tell me. He knows. Krishna knows exactly what I'm thinking. And he responds appropriately. But these rascals who accept this Mayavadi impersonal path, they can't demonstrate any of the qualities of God. God is a super soul. He's within everyone and everything. He knows what everybody's thinking. He knows what everyone desires. He knows what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. He knows everything. God is omniscient. Otherwise, what's the meaning of God? If God doesn't know everything, what's the meaning of God? If God doesn't have all knowledge, all energy, if he's not present everywhere and in everything, well, what's the meaning of God? So these rascals, they say that now I